fungus-y, or like kind of a smell to it, but very nice garden smell. Anyway, very fast growing, makes a big plant. We overpropagate, about 4 or 5 camellias that we overpropagate, with the idea is that if we don't use them to sell, they make wonderful rootstock for grafting. And this is one of the ones that we overpropagate from cutting just to have plenty of rootstock. This takes the sun beautiful. In fact, all of these have been grown. Now we have this shape, but most of these take the sun beautiful. But really got a big plant, 6 to 8 foot beautifully. It sets a ton of seed. Those of you interested in growing seed for rootstock or whatever. One time, my dad years ago, he had one of these against a lamppost. After about 10 years, he had 100 years flying with a lamp was. And one year, he actually filled 2 5-gallon buckets of seed off this thing. But it was a big time, because it was 4 or 5 foot across, 8 to 10 foot tall, big plant. And full bloom, just back.
Did he ever find that the fact that it set so much seed caused it not to set as many flowers? I have one of those, and I'm asking about
it. Does it say as many flowers, you're saying? Or?
Right.
They would have to set flowers to set the seed.
No, but subsequently.
Oh, you mean the following year?
Yeah.
Like exhausted out.
That's right.
No, but I don't think so. Because if it grows well, and of course your summer growth is this summer's growth is this fall's flowers. You should have had a good I'm not so, no, I would say no. I don't think there's a correlation there. You should, if you got good growth and you just a healthy plant, you should set a lot of blossoms. Now, if your light has changed, like you're more shady than you were previously, it could be a problem. I don't know. But you didn't get a good bud set this last year, right?
Well, I have quite a few sasanquas, and a number of them set a lot of seeds.
All of them didn't set?
And so I'm always considering about, there's only a certain amount of time one can spend in the garden, whether you spend it getting those seeds off.
Yeah. Well, I think that's, it's better for the plant to have the seeds off. It's better for a peach tree to have the seeds off. Well, there's not a lot of energy going into the peaches, but I don't know if you have a good crop. I mean, sometimes you have good crops and sometimes you don't have bad crops. I don't think it should affect the subsequent. My thought is it shouldn't affect the subsequent year's crop if it has a good seed set or not a good seed set. The peach should bloom regardless, of how many peaches you had. There's an energy going to those seed pods. I've got it. But some say when we have 10 kids, we live to be 105. So, yeah. But I would say it shouldn't affect the subsequent year.
Do you have a gallon size of these for sale?
We do, yes. Now this year, our gallon size, yes, we do. This year is our cheese size. I would say wait until this year. We just have there's a bit of a gap in our sasanqua crop. And really got one of those little gap, the little small. I would sell it to you, but with apologies.
If you were going to take the seed pods off, when would you take them off?
Well, as soon as you can see they're there. I mean, when they start to form, they're big enough, you're not going to, you just twist them off. And it's sasanqua seeds as far as just they're very small seeds, about the size of what a marble maybe. They're not as big as the sasanqua seeds. And if you don't do a thing to them, they'll split and crack open, the seeds will fall to the ground. It's not a messy kind of a thing. So, yeah.
Are the seeds viable?
They certainly are, yes. Camellia seeds, Camellia is a very easy to grow for seed. One thing you have to remember is camellias have a very short shelf life. Seeds. You got to pick up and you got to plant. You don't pick the seeds. Basically, most camellias, depends upon the species, but most camellias, japonicas, sasanquas, they keep them out, they basically ripen in fall. And if you're not sure when to pick them, we wait till we see a few seeds actually split. And so after we see a few around the nursery splitting and cracking open, we'll go and we'll pick all the japonicas. Otherwise, we're picking the seeds off the ground, And we'll actually open a few with a knife to make sure they're not a false alarm, that they are real white. A ripe seed will be real coffee brown or chocolate brown inside. And the secret I can get seeds is to pick them and plant them. You don't do it the next day, but don't wait 3 months to plant the seeds. They will germinate right away, sending the root down. They won't break the surface of the soil generally until next spring. So you think of this happening, it's happening in the ground. They are germinating, they're growing, but they won't break the surface Don't get this one. You know, when the rest of the community start to grow, that's when you'll start to see coming out of the ground. And so, well, you know, basically, what I like to do, I don't like to go, you know, about an inch down. In the wild, they fall in the duff and stuff. You don't plant them an inch down. Every time you water, you're digging them up. So I like to go about an inch down. We use sand and peat moss, about half and half. I don't like to go smaller than a 1 gallon container, even for one seed, because you use a little 4-inch pot, 3-inch pot. You're always drying out on you, and there's no room for the tap root. In a gallon can, you can put 50 seeds, as long as it's a nice even layer. And then the seeds you plant this fall, next fall will be a nice 4 to 6 inches tall. And the Camellia seeds, unlike cuttings, will make a nice tap root. And if you want to put that plant in the ground, you have a real strong root, you know, very strong root. Nuccio brought in that seeding Camellia at the time it died, that he dug up, and the tap root was like this. It was just an incredible tap, strong root. But most people want to grow them in containers. So if you're going to continue to grow a seedling, you want to dig out of the seed medium before you pot it up in little 4-inch pots or 1 gallon cans, whatever. Slip the tip of the root that causes it to branch out. So otherwise, when it penetrates the bottom of the can, it'll pigtail. But strong root in the ground, but going to continue to grow, you want to slip the tip of the can. It takes about 5 years to bloom. The good news is there are very few ugly seeding Camellias. You get a lot of lookalikes, you get a lot of what you expect to see in the Japanese tea ceremony arrangement, simple single rose red flowers. Sasanqua, you plant a whole row of sasanqua seedlings, and there wouldn't be a bad one in the batch. There are a lot of lookalikes. There are a lot of rubiata looking things, there's a type rise, some whites, some whites. But there's a lot of lookalike Camellias that come out of the sasanqua. That's why they don't all get named. But there's not a bad one in the batch. They're very, very pretty, very nice, and you plant a whole row of sasanqua seedlings really well. You know. Okay. Another Camellia that we grow a lot for understock is this one here. This is called Conjuro. Really nice sasanqua. A nice frosted. See how the color kind of lightens up in the middle of the petals? But it's nice toning. Really, really nice sasanqua. Very strong grower. Makes a nice big plant. And as far as a fast grower too, it's rather shrubby. A lot of fast growers tend to be a little bit open. It's a nice shrubby plant. Very sturdy, and it kind of peaks a little later than most sasanquas. Right next to it, again, this is, I have to say, I started out putting these plants in the truck, come up here with a lot of flowers between the inspections that had to go through spraying required and then handling and bouncing around. Not many petals, not many flowers were left. Anyway, this is Shishikashira. Roughly the same color as Conjuro. Much different growth than that one makes a 6 to 8 foot plant very comfortably. This one you can keep nicely at 4 foot or less, 3 foot, nice slow spreading Camellia. So this is a low grower. Same color, different growth. Anyway, so this is Shishikashira. And with sasanquas, I started to say that a lot of growth, that's low and compact and bushy. This one here is low but very sprawling. This is Shonosaki. And this is, year in, year out, this is the first Camellia to bloom for us every year. One of the first Camellias we see every year. Long bloom, has tons of bud. You don't just bud because they're all going to open up beautifully. And it's kind of odd. I'm not sure why this is. Most sasanquas uprights tend to be single. Most of the low ones tend to be double, and I don't know why that is. I think it's just hapstance. Anyway, there are exceptions, but basically, a lot of the low ones tend to be double. So anyway, this is Shonosaki, good strong grower. One of the most magnificent specimens of this that I've ever seen. Went to somebody's house, and they had this train going up to the roof, to the eaves of the house, going around the corner. It had a trunk on it this big. People had lived in the house 20 years. They said it was big when they bought the house. It came with the house. But it doesn't want to get tall, but it's not slow. It gives you plenty of stuff to work with. If you want to train it to work with it, you can get it up a trellis nicely or on the fence nicely. Anyway, Shonosaki, great sasanqua, and very early bloom. Low growing, again, Chansonet. This is one of the few formal flowered sasanquas. You don't see many formals in sasanquas. It's a nice mauve, kind of a lavender pink. it's a bud-centered flower. So it's kind of an unusual flower form on this one here. So anyway, chance of that. A few flowers that all just fell off. We think this is a seedling of Shōnosaki. We call this Showa Supreme. It's a little more compact, still low growing, nice double pink flower like Shōnosaki. This one is a little better with a little shade. In full sun, you can do it. It's kind of yellowish on the foliage, so it appreciates a little bit of shade. But no low mountain growing sasanqua. It doesn't bloom quite as early as Shōnosaki, but a little more compact. So Showa Supreme. These two, this is painted desert go somewhere, and this and that one go somewhere. Setsugeka is probably the sasanqua we sell the most of. Wonderful white, strong grower, nice wavy petal, kind of nice lacy growth habit, not terribly stiff. It's a big plant, a wonderful camellia. One time we had some big 15-gallon cans at the nursery. And sasanqua flowers don't cut in the shadow. But it's interesting that the petals will last on the ground as long as they last on the plant. So you get a carpet of white or pink. Whatever. Part of the show of sasanqua is just the whole landscape, the area where they're planted. So we have wonderful color on the ground. One day her gardener was job in life is there breaks the lawn and it's sasanqua. So enjoy the fallen petals.
Is this Setsugeka?
This is Setsugeka.
The flower is a little different than mine.
Will you have a little wait this 2 years or not?
Well, I have to buy it. No, it's a stressed out.
Oh,
No,
okay.
is it kind of ruffled? It is,
Yes,
I
but
think,
not
tiny,
that
but not
much.
that good. That's a good one.
But anyway, I'm sure it's still one. You guys have a little bit of pink on the bud. It's essentially a nice white flower, nice style to me. It's a good, but a wonderful sasanqua. And this is one that this is one of the ones that we will propagate for use as graphics. So that's a strong grower, so we use it for lots of graphics. But a wonderful white sasanqua. I'm going to jump over here. There's a couple of other white sasanquas here. These are overgrown. The Setsugeka is very fast, upright, and these are lower mountain. This is white dust, and this is silver doll. This is a faster, more slowly growing, bigger flower. Along the coast, this one has a tendency to bullnose. If you know what that is, that's when the buds don't open up. You get a big fat bud, looks at you, and just falls off. So there's a little bit of that along the coast. We don't recommend it along the coast, but a nice white. And then this one here is more compact, smaller flower, darker foliage, little tip of pink to it, and we call this silver doll. Both low growing. One happens to be sprawly, one happens to be a little tighter or snug growth habit. What kind of light? Oh, they can take a lot of sun. This one here we like with a little bit of shade. The silver doll, a little bit of shade. Probably this more summer too, maybe the white dolls. Both of them appreciate a little bit of shade. But they can take a lot of sun for that. A lot of sun with some shade. Another white. We've seen about this one though. This one, the bud is a nice pink bud. You wouldn't think that bud would make a nice white flower. This is called Asakura. And one that I could not bring in, a similar one to this one here, was one called Little Pearl. Little Pearl, the bud's even pinker. And it opens up, you'll still see the pink on the edge. Asakura, when it opens up, you tend to lose the pink, and it becomes a nice double white flower. Very, very pretty. It has somewhat color, but it's very heavily. There's a nice habit to it. Good in the ridgy bud right there. But it's a nice upright. One of the few doubles upright. You get it. And white, why the low ones are double and the tall ones seem to single. I have no idea. This is every set. It's really done.
Do you have any words of wisdom about irrigation in the times of water shortages?
Well, I think to me it's like a big deep water as opposed to just a little spritzing. Certainly, if you're trying to, you can extend your deep water rate with a little bit of washing down once in a while, and you extend how often you have to for the deep water, water problems. So maybe you can take it a day or two with having to do the deep water, and you cut the washing down once in a while, really fast. Get a little moisture on the plate and stuff, and that slows things down a little bit. But I think we typically generally a big deep water is less often than water irrigation. And then, of course, as community becomes more established, I've seen houses abandoned for 30 or 40 years. They're not the best culture, they're not going to turn a faucet on them, but they have little shades stuff in the house now. The guy, I think I heard it was the grass is always brown. There's a bunch of camellias that are not the best living plants on the planet, but they're there. They made it. And on the same kind of style, there's two plants here. This one is an overriding.
Pardon me. How tall was that one?
Well, that'll make a nice 6 to 8 foot plant. Yeah, real nice.
Thank you.
This one here, this is called Kogyo. This is kind of the same idea as Asakura and the little pearl that you don't have. This one, before we had those, this is the only one we had that was like that, with a pink bud and a double white flower. I like a Kogyo. I don't know if I like it as much as those over, that one over there, or a little pearl that I couldn't bring in. And we're talking right now, well, should we continue growing this? There's nothing wrong with it, but it's got some competition. But still a nice Camellia nonetheless. So anyway, Kogyo. This one came to us from, I believe it was Dr. Ackerman. He thought it was a sport of Shishikashira. And for a long time, we were called the dwarf Shishi White. We got a plant from Dr. Parks, or actually David Parks in North Carolina University, Community Forest Nursery in North Carolina. And he sent us out a plant of Kira Shiro Kansubaki. We thought it might be Kira Shiro Kansubaki. After examining it for a couple of years, is Kira Shiro Kansubaki similar, not the same? We sent this to Japan, have it identified. Oh yeah, that's Kira Shiro Kansubaki. We say no, it's not Kira Shiro Kansubaki. Anyway, so for the time being, we call it Shiro Shishi. In quotation marks, that is not the right name. We have no idea what the right name of this one is. This is upright, slow growing, compact, something to keep nicely at about 3 to 4 foot, even less. But it's upright and tight, and just a nice neat growth habit on this guy. Shiro Shishi, very similar to Asakura, but a much different growth habit. Okay. Another one with the wrong name. We got this from a nursery in Sacramento years ago under the name of Apple Blossom. Apple Blossom looks a whole lot like the Ruby Garden. A white flower, pale pink border. And this came under to us under the name of Apple Blossom. It is not Apple Blossom. We don't know what it is, so we're calling it Pink Apple Blossom. So it's not the right name. Kind of a goofy growth habit. I like it a lot. Very columnar, except at the top of the column you get these big whips, and you just leave them, it looks like sheaves of wheat. So they kind of just lop over. So, but generally, it responds like to being topped out. You keep a nice column on this guy here. But for lack of a correct name, the pink apple blossom, my dad thought it might be Castle Gardens in the LA area had what they call Minerva. And I've never seen a Minerva to compare this to. We thought it might be Minerva. But anyway, it is not what the label said, so we're calling it something else in the meantime until we can figure it out. So pink apple blossom, neat, soft, beautiful soft pink. You're very profuse too. The other one that is very profuse, lots of buds, is UF. This is a nice medium growing sasanqua. It's something you keep nicely at eye level, 5 to 6 feet, very comfortably, upright, kind of lacy. Look at the bud set. One of the problems that sasanquas can have is light. The sasanquas are probably the least tolerant of too heavy shade. And I'll just show you an example. There's one over here called Yuletide. Wonderful tree. one year we had, pick your nose, your skin. One year we had some Yuletides. This is one of the few with this kind of orangey red color too. One year we had some Yuletides on the west side of the building, overhang on the building, and about, it was really put 4 plants. Well, the one away from the building, good, beautiful bud set. Next one in, good bud set. Third one in, okay, went this the building, no buds, all the way down the road. You can just see from here to there with the light is. But anyway, I'm bringing that up just for a couple of reasons. The Yuletide is more like the average Camellia. If you have a place you water the sasanqua, and you weren't sure if you had enough light, well, we always recommend something like Shonosaki because it buds up here. And you have, if these don't bud up, then it's just too much, just too dark for a sasanqua. But they bud up really heavy. If you get half the buds you've got here, you'll have still a ton of buds. And I've always liked the way this has a nice wagon wheel spokes on the path. The petals are just well spaced, very pretty, pretty. Lots of flowers, just tons of lights, very pretty.
It looks a little bit like Dan Charvet's Holy Moses.
I don't know that one. Yeah. There's another one too called Cleopatra, which is more popular in the trade. It's a bushier plant. I like this one better than Cleopatra. But this one buds up here. Holy Moses, I don't know, but that would be a Dan Charvet name. On the Holy Moses. Oh yeah, something nice border to it.
I have a whole row of
Oh, this is what is of the Cleopatra. Oh yeah, Cleopatra. Yeah, a little more toning to it. Bushy plant, nice shrubby plant.
I have mine in a hedge, so.
Oh, that'd be gorgeous. Yeah, this is kind of loose. You can do a hedge with this. It's a little bit loppy and loose. Cleopatra is definitely a shrubbier. Okay. We got it. Okay. I was asked to bring up a 5-gallon can of a dazzler. This is a 1-gallon can with 5 gallons of dirt. So, but it's a nice plant. And then dazzler, very similar to Shishikashira, the Kanjo, very fast. This is sasanquas are early. This is early for sasanqua. This is one of the very first one is usually always Shonosaki, but this is right there as being one of the first camellias to bloom for us every year. The dazzler is a nice magenta red, very pretty and very strong going. And then one that's kind of the same color, a little bit lighter. And the petals are all in the hand. This is called Sunbeam. I have a couple of flowers and balls left up. Anyway, this is kind of a lateral lobe. I would call it a lobe, it's not upright. This one here gets a lot of sun. It gets a nice edging on it. It's, we were apologizing at first, but we might as well brag about it instead of apologizing for it. But it gets, this is actually a sun bleach. And so sun makes a difference on this kind of interesting white, pale yellow edging you get on the leaf. But it takes sun exposure to do that.
And the name is?
This is called Sunbeam. Sunbeam. One of my favorite quote new is, it's been out for some, not brand new, but this is Y-U-M-E. And it is a cross. And why the guy even did the cross, I have no idea, of Shishikashira, that low-growing rose red one, in a wild Chinese camellia called Camellia euchinensis. Euchinensis is a stiff, upright, very similar flower to this one, but white. And why he did the cross, I have no idea. But the guy who did this, he developed a brand new form of variegated in camellia. Variegated camellias can be 2 ways. Genetic, which is stripes or borders. A lot of those sasanquas have borders. Here's where I haven't talked about yet. This is a nice candy stripe here. It's a pink with deeper pink stripes. That's genetic. And the other form of variegation in camellias is virus variegation. That usually shows up as a white blotch on a red flower. But it'll also show up in the foliage. This is a viral variegation. I'll talk about this in a moment. But anyway, this plant here, usually, it is not striped, it is not bordered, it's toned pink and white, sometimes it'll be even more dramatically colored, like the color of the flowers are kind of falling apart. Sometimes you see every other petal, one's pink and one's a white flower. This is a new type of genetic variegation. There's never seen before in camellias. Here's an example when you cross or hybridize. There's no reason to have guessed that crossing the two plants across would have given us something like this. And this one's on your raffle, and this is one I recommend whoever gets this, save the seeds. So far, we've had hundreds of these things bloom. I would have to say nothing yet, I would say, is better than the parent plant, but there are a lot of interesting seedlings that come from this. This one tends to be kind of upright, but kind of lateral, very stiff, kind of lateral, not stiff and tall. And anyway, a lot of the seedlings have been tall, upright. We've gotten some doubles. We've gotten some doubles that are pink and white like this. We've gotten some dark pinks and whites. We've got a few solid colors, a few solid whites, a few solid pinks. But the seedlings are all very, very pretty. So this is one I highly recommend that you want to play with some seeds. This one you get good payback. And this one you'll be. Yeah, it's a compact plant. And then we've tried this one, being that one of the parents is a sun-hardy plant. So we tried this one in the full sun. You know, it didn't burn, but it just didn't. You walk by this plant and kind of look at you, why am I out here? And it just, you know, you could tell I wasn't happy in the full sun. So, but I treat it like just a normal japonica. It'll probably take more sun than the average japonica. I would give it some. I wouldn't treat it like a full-blown sasanqua. Anyway, you know.
Happy in a lot of shade?
You know, that one could be because the buds are heavy. You know, that one I think could bud up and still be, you still have heavy shade and bud up because it just has tons of buds. You get buds up and down the stems. One of the parent plants that you should just test, you know, 5 to 10 buds per tips. And this one kind of takes that. So you get half the buds it's supposed to get. So you still get a lot of flowers. So I would think it could do with more shade tolerated than the average camellia. Yeah. Anyway. I brought this one up, and might as well talk about it. These are some japonicas now that are coming in early, consistently early. This is Tochimoto, named for Tochimoto, in a nursery over in Hayward. This is one of his seedlings. He passed away. We were looking at it. We asked his family if we could name it for him. Just a nice camellia. This is a slower grower, one you can keep nicely 4 foot, 1 foot under the window, very nicely. It is a nice pink. It's kind of a beaten up flower, but pink with nice deep pink candy stripe on it. But Tochimoto is a nice compact. Nuccio's Bella Rosa over here. One of our seedlings. This is the one we wanted to name for my dad some 20 years ago, but he got no math at us. So but anyway, long blooming camellia. We normally see our first flowers on this by the end of November. And it goes the entire season. So it's very, very long blooming. Nice red, compact, not terribly fast. When most camellias are 6 foot, this will be 4 foot. It's not a dwarf, but it's just kind of on the slow side. So it's just a nice one for a pot plant or for a limited space area. We have a good variegated form of this, as well with white blotches on it. So there's a good virus variegated form. And one of the things that we use for virus variegation very often, in fact I use it on this one here, is when I showed you earlier, this Shibori Igao. Shibori Igao, let me do this. Let me get the other one. So here we go. This is Igao here. And we got it from a friend of ours in Japan as a sasanqua. And he thinks, and we are in full agreement, this is not a full-blown sasanqua. We think this is a japonica sasanqua hybrid. Yes, one of those, exactly, yeah. Sasanqua japonica hybrid. And I didn't have a flower on this one. This one here, everybody thinks the variegation is being red and white. Pink and white is to kill for. This is absolutely car stopper when this is in full bloom. This pink flower with white blotches on it is just spectacular. So anyway, this is the variegated form, the virus variegated form of this one here. And it's called Shibori Igao, and Tochibori means tie-dyed. So anyway, very pretty camellia. a very strong grower. They're kind of upright and spreading. You can kind of see how to kind of watch the grow. But good fast grower, very strong growing tomato. On one of our egalos years ago, my brother, in a block of egalos, he found one plant that was growing goofy, contorted. And this is the sport of this one here. We missed the original sport. Somebody somewhere has an egalo with one branch that's got a goofy growth pattern on it. You probably did it by accident. My brother happened to see it then. Anyway, so this is egalo horseshoe. Not only did the growth habit change in this, but this is a nice semi-double right here. Yellow stains. And this is all like a full semi-double to loose peony. A lot more petals on this one here. We've also grafted this onto one of these guys here, so we also have the variegated form of this as well. We've got it called Shibori Egalo corkscrew. So Egalo corkscrew, Shibori Egalo corkscrew. Really neat pot plant, and I mean, it does this a lot, but that's almost just unpredictable how goofy it grows, you know. And something like this, I think the way you probably want to grow this is have it in the ground in the pot, and then as it grows, kind of prune it a little bit so you can expose some of the because that's the fascinating part about this plant. But anyway, she got a corkscrew.
How does it make them, how does that particular one make such a hard?
I do not know. It just doesn't. It just doesn't. So it's just
Remember when we have those this way, this way, this way, this way, this way?
yeah, exactly. They just kind of, and this was almost, I've seen them even make a turn and go back the other way in a couple, you know.
Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, but this one really made a sharp angle, a really sharp angle. I don't know why, who knows. Anyway. Okay. A couple more things. In Japan, if you see wild japonicas, they're simple single rose red flowers. I had a chance a couple times now to go to an island called Oshima, which is just south of Tokyo. And the island is covered with wild japonicas. And 95 or more percent are simple rose red flowers. Every now and then you'll see a white, every now and then you'll see a pink. But the predominant is rose red. Another part of Japan, there was an area that they used old canoes. They cut them for and used it for charcoal. So there's a charcoal gathering. You walk on a big thing of water charcoal, walking through the woods, and it comes across on the ground. You see all these red flowers with a white border. And wild japonicas don't come red flowers with white borders. It looks up at the spindly plant is dropping all these white bordered flowers on it. And the Japanese just went crazy for it. I understand the original plant was actually killed by taking so many cuttings. They've since replaced it with another plant for the International Community Society. A couple of years ago in Japan, they replanted another one in the spot where it came from. But that was called Tama no Ura. I think it was named for the area where it was found. The Tama no Ura seedlings have given us a ton of bordered flowers. And it borders